Hey guys, Dan here with this week's sort of TV news and reviews, but every time there's a new streaming service up, I like to do an Is It Worth It video. So this one is Peacock, Is It Worth It? This is the highly touted streaming platform from Universal and NBC. Now, if you have Xfinity, I think it is, or Xfinity Plus or something, you've had access to most of this for a couple of months now, but it just went live last week for everybody, and there's only a handful of brand new content, and I'm going to sort of dive into each one of those. I'm going to give each one a grade, like I do usually for these videos, but then we're going to talk about Peacock on the whole. Is it worth it? What are the benefits? What are the drawbacks? So let's dive right in, I guess, to the shows. We'll start there. There's really four major new shows, and then there's a couple like movies that are on, like if you are a fan of the USA show Psych, there's a Psych movie that just went up. I never watched the show, so I didn't delve into that. And then there's a couple of new kids things too. There's a new season of Curious George, there's a new season of Where's Waldo, and those are all from other sources. Curious George I know was on PBS for a long time. I don't know where the Where's Waldo show is from, but that has a new season on there as well. And then there's a new animated series as well that is, specifically just for the Peacock streamer. But the nice thing about Peacock is, and we'll sort of delve into this a little bit later, but all of the free content that you can get without even a subscription, no credit card, nothing. You can just pull it up and it's there. And that includes the first episodes of all four of these shows that I'm going to talk about. So so even if you aren't really sure if it's worth it, even after this video, check out the original content, which is streaming for free, at least for the first episode, and see if you like it. And then they have a ton of content other than this that's, free, entire catalogs of a lot of the NBC and Universal shows. But let's start with Brave New World. This is, I guess, sort of their highest profile show for the time being. And this is from a very, very famous book from Aldous Huxley. This is a book from decades before I was born. I believe it's from the 1930s. And by all accounts, it is a little bit problematic today. I understand, there's some racist things in it, and, things, I think, typically that come with works of fiction that are 90 years old that are envisioning some sort of futuristic society or whatever. But whatever, I didn't read the book. I don't know much about it other than it's about a dystopian world. So I did dive right into the TV show, though. And essentially, the premise, and it gives you, like, right up front, like, even before the first scene, it sort of, gives you a byline as the viewer that says, essentially, that there's no more monogamy, no more money, no more family. Everybody just sort of is, peaceful, and everyone has stability in this world. And of course, as the first episode goes on, pretty quickly we learn that that is not true. There's an erasure of history sort of thing. Like at one point, one of the characters goes into this thrift store or whatever, and hears this music that's great, and we learn as the audience music isn't even being made anymore. And he was like, oh, who sings this song? It's great. And the guy's just like, nobody knows. So there's some erasure of history. There's sort of no family really either, but there are definitely there's a society of different levels for sure, some different castes, as you will. But the star of this, well, I guess there's a few, but one of them is Alden Ehrenreich, who, boy, they're just trying to make him happen in Hollywood, aren't they? He was in Solo, and he was in the Warren Beatty movie a few years ago, and he was in Hail Caesar. But him, to me, is kind of like Armie Hammer. Like, he's all right. He's definitely, a pretty boy. But, where's the acting capability? Here, I definitely think we see more of his range than we've seen previously. He plays this dude, John, who's known as John the Savage. He lives in Savage Land. And, for all intents and purposes, he's basically a worker bee, essentially. He, is a prop master, and sort of a stagehand for this, production that goes on. And so he's a lowly worker, and he's having a bunch of doubts about his place in the world and what have you. And then simultaneously we see sort of the other side of things, and we have Jessica Brown Findlay there, who you might know from Downton Abbey. I don't, but she plays Lena Crown, and then Harry Lloyd plays Bernard Max, and they're sort of questioning their own societal views, and she's sort of having an affair, and a monogamous affair, which is of course a big no-no in this society, and he is sort of questioning whether he wants to still be connected to the society. So it's a lot of typical dystopian stuff. I feel like I think in viewing it, I definitely recognize a lot of things from other movies more than TV shows, I guess, that I've seen, such as Divergent and The Maze Runner, and a lot of the more recent things. Now, obviously, the book this is based on predates all of that by decades, but from my understanding, this sort of only uses the book as a template and doesn't really mine a lot of its philosophical questions and stuff, which to me kind of says, okay, well, they've taken the name of the book because it's well known, and they're just infusing it with all of these things that we've seen a lot in the last decade or so in cinema. So, the show is a bit of a mixed bag to me. I am intrigued where it goes. Peacock has taken the old Netflix binging stance, and has put up all of the episodes for their shows all at once. So there's 9 episodes for this total. And I only watched the first one because that was the free one. And just, for time constraints, I wasn't going to binge a 9-hour show. But I would think that this is going to be potential for an ongoing series. It is not billed as a mini series. It's not billed as a limited series. So I think if it does well for the streamer, we can expect a season 2 from Brave New World. I was just a little bit, there's a lot going on at once. They do a decent job of setting up the world and how the society is, and then just sort of dribble in little hints as the show goes, just by people saying things, and I think it's done all right. But all of it is very, very by the book, by the numbers, seen before. And again, not maybe in television, so maybe not in a 9-hour format, but even just the look of it is very like Divergent-y and Hunger Games, Capital sort of thing, and the themes of do I want to live in this world? Do I want this society? We've seen those time and time again as well. So it all sort of comes down to the specific plot points and the actors and the characters. Demi Moore appears as well in a supporting role, which I wasn't sure it was her. It was one of those things where it's like, it kind of looks like her, but they have her in a wig, and you haven't really seen Demi Moore in a long time, really. I mean, years, at least to my recollection, since she's done anything really in the public eye. So but then the credits rolled and it said Demi Moore. I was like, okay, there she is. So she's good. Alden Ehrenreich, though, he's okay in this. I think he's better in this than I've seen him in certain other things. I kind of liked him in Solo too, if I'm being completely honest. But look, I'm not a Star Wars purist, so I think even Star Wars people for the most part liked Solo, though. I'm not sure how they felt about his performance, but I don't know. Every couple of years, they're trying to make somebody else happen in Hollywood. Dane DeHaan was the go-to for a while. He was in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and The Cure for Wellness and Valerian, and they just pick these pretty boy actors, and sometimes they can act, sometimes they can't. Armie Hammer, I think, is an okay actor, but his projects are just kind of blah. Taylor Kitsch is another one. About 10 years ago, once Friday Night Lights ended, he was, John Carter, and then he was in Battleship, and it's just like, sometimes it's just not going to happen. I'm not sure where Alden Ehrenreich falls in that category, but this is at least something different for him, even if he doesn't quite pull it off, at least in the first episode. So it's definitely a mixed bag for me. I'm going to leave Brave New World with a B minus, maybe even a C plus, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt just because it's sometimes hard to grade on just the pilot. But I'll leave it with a B minus for now, and maybe at some point I'll binge all 9 of them, and we'll see where it goes. So the other rather high-profile show, I think, on Peacock is Intelligence, and this is a British sitcom, but it is David Schwimmer's return to television. That's sort of the big get for this show, and essentially he plays an NSA agent who is assigned to go to the UK for some cyber crimes and head up that division there. And his partner in crime, I guess, the co-star of the show is this dude Nick Mohammed, who I don't really know that well. I don't know if he's real big in England. I know he filmed that Christopher Robin movie. He did the voice of Piglet in that, but in terms of the U.S., that's about it. I mean, he's had a couple of minor roles in, like, Bridget Jones's Baby and the Absolutely Fabulous movie, but, Nutcracker in the Four Realms, but he hasn't had any real big roles, at least that I know about, until this. He's sort of the other star. He plays kind of the dweeby, tech guy that they sort of go up against. And this originally aired on Sky One in the UK. So if you live in the UK, you've already probably seen this. It's only 6 episodes, like a lot of their shows are. So this is all up in full on Peacock as well. And Season 2 has been confirmed already. So regardless of how it does on Peacock, I guess it did well enough in the UK that they've commissioned a Season 2. But, boy, this is not that good of a show. It is it's like a workplace sitcom. I think they're trying to be a little bit, a little bit cringy with it, like The Office, but the Schwimmer character, the nice thing about The Office, at least the US Office, is that Michael Scott is a genuinely nice guy. He's just an idiot. UK Office, I feel like Brent is definitely not as sweet as Michael Scott. I don't think he has a good enough heart, but I think he does think of himself, at least, as a nice person. But here we've got the Schwimmer character who basically is just no nonsense, kind of a jerk. He's actually more like, I feel like, the Robert California character of The Office way in season 7 or whatever that James Spader plays. So, I feel like in a show like this, you need to at least kind of like the lead guy. And certainly in the first episode, I did not. Now, it's hard when you only have 6 episodes, but when you think back, I mean, the original Office, US only had 6 episodes for the first season. In the UK, maybe both seasons had only 6 episodes, because that's how they kind of run things over there. But there's some okay chemistry, there's some okay laughs, but like in the pantheon of recent workplace comedies, I'm thinking of like ones with specifically a kind of jerky guy for a boss, like Raven's or Mythic Quest Raven's Banquet on Apple TV. Like it's sort of in that vein. Or even there was a show a couple years ago with Steve the Pirate from Dodgeball. What the heck's his real name? He does all the voices in the Disney movies lately. I forget his name, but he played like the head of this sort of superhero faction, but it was set in an office building. Danny Putty from Community was part of it. I forget what that show was called, but that at least, he is a jerk, but he's also an ineffective idiot jerk. Like Schwimmer here plays this guy who is effective, but just no one likes him. He's just a jerk, but even still, I can't say it was like a pain to get through. I just expected so much more from the big, like, oh, this is David Schwimmer's return to television. I'm not like a huge Ross fan. I think as Friends went on, he definitely got funnier because his situations got more and more insane. He was like less whiny and more just like out there, like getting the tan and only getting one side tan because he couldn't figure out the mechanism, like, or getting his teeth whitened and it's way, way too white, like that kind of thing. Like more, I don't know, visual gag kind of things. But Ross was never one of my favorites, But here it's it's as if Ross had way too much power at the museum he worked for, and just became a tyrant and a d-bagged everybody. I don't know. I didn't really enjoy watching this show, even though I did get a few laughs from it, but it's definitely not great. So I leave Intelligence with a C minus. All right, so up next is The Capture. This is another British import, so this already aired all the episodes over in England. Again, 6 episodes like they do over there. And we're getting it here for the first time on Peacock. And once again, the first episode is available for free, but all episodes are up now if you do have a subscription. So essentially, this is about this dude. What's his name here? Hold on. I'm so bad at names. I should write them down a little more maybe. But Calum Turner is the actor's name, and you've seen him probably in the Fantastic Beasts, and I saw him most recently this year in Emma, which was a great movie. But he's been around. He's done some stuff. He has a very unique look about him. But basically, he just got out of prison for a crime that maybe he didn't commit. His name is Sean Emery, and essentially, he is acquitted of this crime, but halfway through the episode finds himself embroiled in other hot water because he's accused of kidnapping and murder of his barrister, Hannah Roberts. And the whole thing is caught on closed-circuit television. However, it may not be what it seems. He is very adamant that what is being shown on the video is not what actually happened. And as far as he remembers, this woman, they did talk, they did kiss, but she got on a bus and left, the area, and the video shows a completely different story. So that's basically kind of the first episode. Maybe a little more spoiler than I like to be on this channel, but that's the essential plot of the series, I guess. We're going to try and figure out what happened, where this woman is, if she's still alive, whatever. And this was pretty good. Holiday Granger plays the head, detective, I guess, the homicide detective. And I had recognized the name more than I recognized her face. But, I've seen her in a few things here or there, but mainly she is a, British actress and does a lot of the British TV shows and movies. But, she's been in a few things in America, just sort of in more bit roles, Great Expectations, The Finest Hours, one of the sisters in Cinderella, the live action adaptation of that. So, she's been around a little bit, but she's great here. She's very no nonsense, but also sympathetic, and then the lead character, you really feel for him because he is, spent 6 months in jail for a crime he pretty much didn't commit. And then it gets acquitted of that, so you're like, oh, thank God, this guy's life can get back on track, and da-da-da-da-da. And then, of course, like 2 scenes later, we see that's not the case. But there's also some mystery aspect to it. The discrepancies of the closed-captioned cameras we see in a different sort of realm entirely in the very first scene of the show. We see something that may not have been what it seemed on the camera. So right away, you're sort of like, okay, obviously, there's some sort of technology angle to this, and I think it gets played off pretty well. The only thing I really have in the negative so far for it, and again, I only watched the first episode, but is that it is very like, it seems very CBS sort of procedural in structure. Obviously, this is going to stretch over 6 episodes, whereas the CBS procedurals are all episode by episode. But just the music cues and the look of it, it all reminds me very much of like one of the CSIs or Without a Trace or one of those. So I don't think it's very inventive in that way, but the mystery at the center of it is definitely interesting, and I think the acting's pretty decent here as well. So I'm going to leave, is it The Capture? I want to call it Central Intelligence for some reason, but that's the movie with The Rock. And by the way, there was also a CBS show. Was it CBS called The Capture? I forget. Anyway, I don't know if it was a procedural or not, but I think there was another show at some point called The Capture that may have been more of a it might have even been a like a mini series. I don't know. This is this a mini series? I don't know. If it's not, I'm sure that it's going to be like a wrapped up storyline and maybe be more of an anthology. So that like next season we may have the same, government agents looking into it, but a different storyline entirely. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just sort of guessing, but it's not necessarily listed as a limited series or miniseries. So it could continue, I suppose. But yeah, I thought it was pretty decent, but just a little too generic. So I leave it with a B for The Capture. So finally, we have Lost Speedways. This is a documentary series led by Dale Earnhardt Jr. and his buddy Matthew Dillner, who I've not heard of, but he's apparently a racing historian and aficionado. And basically, this takes this you can actually get, I think, every episode for free. They have put the whole season up, even if you don't have a paid Peacock account. But there's 8 episodes. They're all about 25 minutes, and it basically takes a look at old speedways for racing. Whether it be on a national level, on a local level. Different tiers of competition, I guess. Like the baseball players have, like minor leagues and AAA, whatever, or Double A. I don't know. I don't know sports, but I also don't know NASCAR or racing. So there you go. But these are speedways that are defunct. They have been, some of them have been bulldozed. Some of them have been just forgotten about and brushed over with, moss and plant life and stuff. So in each episode, they take a look at a different one and talk about the history. And what's nice about Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the guy comes from a racing legacy family. So there's a lot of talk in this first episode specifically about his father racing on this very speedway and what he accomplished and this and that and the other thing. So look, this show is not for me. I don't care about any of this. I don't care about NASCAR. I don't care about Dale Earnhardt. I don't care about speedways. So I have to take a look at it more of like from a technical aspect. How was the production value? How is Dale Earnhardt as a host? That kind of thing. And I have to say, I think if you're into racing, if you're into NASCAR, I actually think you'll probably really like this. They really go into a lot of detail about specific races and specific racers and different things that occurred on this track, and sort of give the history of it and why it is a lost speedway, like what happened to it. So I don't know. I feel like if this was a documentary about recording studios or something, which I guess Dave Grohl kind of already did that with Lost Highways, but that was the first thing I could think of, or old movie studio lots or something that don't exist, or something like that, with this same production value and with this same sort of detail about the places. I think I would eat it up. So for me, this is just, I don't care about any of this, so I'm not going to watch the remainder. But I think if you're a racing fan, I think it's a really well done show. And Earnhardt, is a pretty decent host. It's funny, in the upcoming TV news and review show that I'm going to have in a couple days, but I've already watched all the shows for it. One of the shows I watched is this new travel show with Zac Efron, and I definitely have some things to say about his competency as a host. But Dale Earnhardt, he's a salt of the earth kind of guy. He is, I don't think, like a super intelligent dude, but I think he knows his stuff about this. So he can really, rattle off some details, especially with the family history. So, look, this show is not for me, but I think it's very well done. So I'm going to leave Lost Speedways with a B+, which means it's actually the best offering of the original lineup of Peacock shows, which is odd. But the ones I will probably continue to watch are going to be Brave New World and The Capture. I guess if I'm really bored one day, maybe I'll binge Intelligence. But I would say, from a technical standpoint, the best one is going to be the Lost Speedways. So let's talk now about Peacock on the whole. So the positives are pretty obvious. I mean, first of all, the whole thing of just being able to have an account without paying, without even putting any credit card information in, you get access to hundreds and hundreds of hours, maybe thousands, maybe hundreds and hundreds of episodes, but like probably thousands of hours of content. They have full series of dozens of shows. So, and they have them organized. It's a really easy interface. I think the interfaces, these days range from like, I find Hulu to be pretty easy. I find Apple TV to be horrible, brutal. HBO Max is sort of somewhere in the middle. This is definitely one of the easiest interfaces. It lists everything by category, and the categories range from, comedy, drama. I mean, they name them cutesy things. Let me see. Do I still have the app? If I open the app up here, I'm sure it'll tell me. So, let's see. So if you hit browse, you can browse under TV shows. They have, current TV, and then looking for laughs, standout dramas, reality fix, drama for you, award winners, true crime, sci-fi, throwbacks. So, these are all the different categories. But most of these categories have a handful of entire series you can binge absolutely free, no subscription required. And they range from, some of the older stuff like, some of the USA shows like Monk you can stream in full. Under throwbacks, they have complete series of 21 Jump Street, Saved by the Bell, Murder, She Wrote, the Rockford Files, Cheers. So it spans the decades. But also they have up-to-date dramas. I'm not sure if they have the newest episodes, but I guess the seasons are over now. So probably it's like, let me click on This Is Us. What do they have here? Well, they have, so they may only have one season of This Is Us. Okay. No? Okay, season 4. Okay, so no. I think so they have the most recent episodes then, too, of This Is Us, New Amsterdam, Special Victims Unit, Law and Order. So all of this is free. And then, in comedies, they have 30 Rock and, Parks and Rec and Cheers and Frasier and Everybody Hates Chris. And Saturday Night Live, they have 12 full seasons of. What else? Some of them you have to buy, but standout dramas. Suits. I've never seen Suits, but that's, I guess, from USA, right? Friday Night Lights. Downton Abbey, which I didn't know was a Universal production. Parenthood. So these are all free. And then reality, I don't watch any of these Bravo-type reality shows, but they own Bravo, so it's like, all the Chris Lee Knows Best and Undercover Boss and Real Housewives and, well, Undercover Boss is CBS, but I guess it's owned by Universal, but the Kardashians and all that kind of stuff. And then under True Crime, you have Unsolved Mysteries and Dateline and Forensic Files and all this stuff that it's all free. I mean, it's thousands and thousands of hours for absolutely free. Then you have different tiers. You have a $4.99 tier every month, and then a $9.99 tier. $9.99 tier gets you ad-free. $4.99 gets you everything that is on the $9.99, but you have to watch ads. Now, I don't know how the ads are structured on the regular shows, but at least for the premiere episodes of these new Peacock shows, there was one 30-second ad in the middle of the show, and that's it. So, I would imagine it's probably more of a Hulu approach where they don't have as many ads as they do on television, but it's probably like maybe a minute or 90-second of ads every, commercial break, rather than 2 or 2.5 that you'd get on network. So it's probably, I would think, more along those lines. But here's the other great thing. If you can't decide what to watch, if you're stuck and you're like, well, I don't know what I'm in the mood for, you click on this thing that says channels, right?
In the two countries, both sides have, for days
and it started already.
Closed off access to Mexico.
That's great. That's news. It started right up away. I have my phone on silent. I don't know why I did that. But anyway, the channels takes you through. There's like, 15 maybe different channels, and there's like a NBC Nightly News channel, Today Show channel, Tonight Show channel, Saturday Night Live channel, The Office channel, 80s Remix channel, which has like Hunter and 21 Jump Street and Murder, She Wrote, and Unsolved Mysteries channel, Keeping Up with the Kardashians channel, I think there's like a food channel that has like a bunch of different. I'm afraid to open it again because I don't want them to go to the channels. But what else? Okay, shush, shush, buddy. All right, let's turn that down. But anyway, so there's channels there. Oh, there's a poker channel if you are into like the World Series of Poker stuff. Because Universal owns like all this cool stuff. What else? Comedy Dynamics. I don't know if that maybe is just stand up. Then there's a Univision channel. Bob Ross has his own channel, so it's all Bob Ross all the time. But you click on Hell's Kitchen. That's the cooking channel. It's all Hell's Kitchen all the time. And so you can just click on one of those, and it will just it's in progress, so it's always running. But like Saturday Night Live, you just click on it and up pops. I don't know if they're full episodes or just compilations of greatest hits, kind of thing. But the 2 times I clicked on it were very different eras. One was they were doing Californians with Kristen Wiig, and then the other one they were doing the Bag of Glass dude with Dan Aykroyd and Candice Bergen from the 70s. So I don't know if they're sort of bunched by genre or era or what, but this is all on the free part. This is all free. So, the question of is Peacock worth it? Oh my God, absolutely. Yes, 1,000,000%. Like, this is the greatest, look, is it going to have the collection of Hulu or Netflix? I suppose not, because it's all NBC Universal properties, but, I mean, they have a lot of damn good stuff from the history of television. Like, now, personally, would I like to see more of, NBC's really old stuff? Like, yeah, of course. Like, would I like to see some Tonight Show with Johnny Carson? Yeah. Although they do have a few seasons of the Carol Burnett Show for free, which again was CBS owned, but I guess Universal owns it now. Or was it aired on CBS, but I guess it's universally owned. I would like to see maybe more of their failed sitcoms, like the one-season shows from the 90s that aired between Friends and Seinfeld that are completely forgotten about. Like, I'd like to see some of that stuff, but I mean, in terms of sheer content, the amount of free stuff Peacock has is ridiculous. Like, every other streaming service you have to sign up for. Netflix, Hulu, Apple, HBO Max. Like, there's some networks that have their own app that you can see, like TBS, for example. TBS has an app, and you can watch typically like 1 or 2 episodes of their shows. Usually it's like the first episode of the season. It's not usually the latest episode, but it sort of gives you an appetizer in. But this is just like, I mean, season upon season. You can watch every episode of most of these shows. 11 seasons of Cheers for free. 10 or 9 or whatever it was seasons of Murder, She Wrote for free. So with the $4.99 paid, with the ads, you get just a wider selection. Like, for example, a lot of the shows are not available on the free thing. Like Everybody Loves Raymond. That's only available on the paid. Superstore. That's only available on the paid. All of the new shows, other than the first episodes, that's only available with the paid subscription. But they also have some free movies. They have a lot more if you get the $4.99 paid subscription. But is Peacock worth it? Absolutely. The free stuff is amazing. I love the idea of the channels. Like, if you don't know what to watch, you just click on the channels and boom, right there, NBC News. Today Show. And when it's like a streaming channel like that, basically it's like Today Show Greatest Hits. Like, it's going to be, segments with guests and cooking segments and stuff just throughout the day. Office, same thing. I don't think it goes necessarily chronologically through the entire series of The Office, but it probably just shows, random episodes, or maybe it's just greatest hits clips sort of things. But I mean, this is great. I think bravo to the people at Peacock. I think ABC could have maybe done something a little bit more similar to this instead of doing the HBO Max thing. Or Warner Brothers, I guess, technically does HBO Max. ABC does? ABC does Disney, right? Because they're owned by Disney. Disney Plus and Hulu. I mean, I think Disney Plus could have done something like this. They could have had some stuff for free, like, I don't know, some of their old Disney Channel shows like Hannah Montana or something, or Sweet Life on Deck. Have those for free, and then have the paid be like, all your big movies and, The Mandalorian and that kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't know why more people aren't adopting this method, because I'm certainly going to get the $4.99, subscription. There's no reason not to. I think even that is worth it. But Peacock just, in itself, in existence, is amazing. But $4.99 a month is the cheapest out there. It ties with Apple TV Plus, but Apple TV has no catalog content. It's all just their original shows. So by sheer volume, Peacock just blows that out of the water. No doubt about it. In fact, I'm actually thinking about getting rid of Apple TV Plus. I haven't really caught up on any of their other shows. And for $5 a month, Peacock to me is way more worth it. But even without it, the free content available on Peacock is just insane. If you ever want to just binge one of the old USA shows, or one of the old NBC 90s or 80s sitcoms. I mean, obviously, look, they don't have Friends. That's on HBO Max. They don't have Seinfeld. That's on, I think, Hulu. But they have all of Cheers. They have all of Frasier. They have all of a lot of their popular sitcoms from the last 10 years, 30 Rock, Parks and Rec, so this is just great. Get Peacock for sure. At the very least, sample it for free, if you don't want to quite do the subscription yet, but, it's a treasure trove of great television, from the history of television. I mean, going back to Carol Burnett, going back to the Munsters, the Rockford Files, this is really great. So yes, Peacock, absolutely worth it. Their new content, it hasn't blown me away yet. That's for sure. There hasn't been anything that's been like, A caliber like has been on Apple TV. But of course, Apple TV didn't get their first A from me, other than the Peanuts shorts, for a long time. So maybe in the next 6 months we'll see some great things from NBC. Also, the third season of AP Bio is going to be right on the Peacock app. Oh, the negatives. I should tell you about the negatives, because there's really only one that I have, and it's that I can't get it on my Fire Stick. Apparently there's some sort of legal brouhaha with Amazon, and they are not putting it on the Fire Stick, which is what I have. I understand you can get it on Roku, so if you have a Roku, good for you. And of course you can get it on Xfinity, because they're all owned by Universal, so you can get it for sure on there. But that is my one negative, is that I had to watch it either on my phone or on my laptop. But honestly, I think that's a small consolation for everything you get on this. So that's really the only negative I have from Peacock. The interface is great. The channels is just a great idea, and all the free content. So yes, get Peacock. It's amazing. And that will do it for Is It Worth It? Peacock. Next time we will do the regular TV news and reviews, and that will be in probably 2 or 3 days, because I've already watched all the shows for it. I'm ready to go. And because I was at the shore last week, I'm a little behind anyway, so I'll probably get that up in a few days. We also have a new Dan Does Disney coming. There's a movie review show coming. And then we're finally going to start Freaks and Geeks Fridays pretty soon too, reviewing all the Freaks and Geeks episodes, one of my favorite shows. Wish that was on Peacock, but that is not streaming anywhere right now, as far as I know. So, but anyway, that will do it. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.